الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه وأزواجه أجمعين أما بعد. We spoke before about the fact that Alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me to go to Afghanistan in the early era, and this is something that I have mentioned since I was there. I was always mentioning my name, my full name, and I mentioned this numerous times in my books, articles, because it's a favor from Allah to be able to help the Muslim brothers and sisters. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the same kind of help and better will go to our brothers and sisters in Palestine and in other areas. And I would like to remind you, brothers and sisters, about what's going on in Sudan. The situation there is very bad for Muslims. May Allah help them and give them, inshallah ta'ala, the blessing of being safe. Some brothers and maybe sisters also, I don't know exactly, asked some questions. Some of them I can't answer, some of them I can. In general, I went in the early era to Afghanistan, and I wasn't only helping as a soldier. I went there as a foot soldier. That was the best decision I made. I never went there to be a leader, and it was really one of the best things that I decided. However, soon after I went there, we were in the area of Zazi, and of course it has its own leaders, and for some reason they thought I have some kind of knowledge. So when they were meeting in the tent to talk about various issues, I was with them, but I was a foot soldier. This is something that I think everybody should look for, because you don't have the responsibility of having men under your command and taking care of them, which is a very blessed thing to do. But I just wanted to go there, be like everybody else. So the years I can't mention. I've been there. I also helped raise funds for the Mujahideen in Southeast Asia, and I was staying in the house of Sheikh Abdullah Azzam, rahimahullah, whenever I went to Islamabad. Palestinian Mujahid, has a history of jihad, and he did jihad against the Jews also, and may Allah bless him. He was one of the leaders of Ikhwan Muslimin, but his aqidah was reasonable, considering that he studied with my Sheikh Imam al-Albani rahimahullah. My Sheikh was his Sheikh too. So this is something we can talk about later on, but let me remind you, brothers and sisters, the feeling that you are helping your Muslim brothers and sisters is you can't put a value on it, and therefore it was irrelevant to me to be a foot soldier. I was young then. I didn't want anything else other than that. And alhamdulillah ta'ala, I did what I could. The question, who was my Amir? I don't understand what that means. We went into Afghanistan under the leadership of the different Afghani groups. So wherever we were, the Amir of that area was the leader of the Afghani Mujahideen. One issue I didn't mention in the video before is that a large part of Afghanistan was not under the communists. The Russians took over the major areas, the cities, but much of the land was still under the leadership of the Afghanis themselves, which added to the statement I made that we went there because the Ummah had agreed to come together to help and support the Afghanis. The door was open. We went through Pakistan legally. I did not smuggle myself. and I don't agree with smuggling myself to begin with. And alhamdulillah, we did our duty there. One issue that I wanted to mention here, we'll talk about, I'm just trying to read the questions. We talk about my experience in Afghanistan soon, inshallah. My experience is different than many other people because I'm a researcher. I look around, I see how people behave. I studied also the Islamic sects from the beginning. Not I studied them from the beginning. The Islamic sects that appeared early in the Islamic era until today, I have a good understanding of them, and I saw many of these sects that I read in the books there. Inshallah, we'll talk a lot more about this, but like I said, the question about when, I prefer not to answer it. Who was my Amir? I was in Zazi, and the leader of the Ittihad Mujahideen, he was there, and I was there. So, in case you want to ask about what happened later, I wasn't there, and I hope you understand what I'm saying. Here's the situation. When the Mujahideen started fighting each other, I left. I have no interest in any way or form in fighting other Muslims. Period. Nothing. On top of that, we call Muslims Muslims because this is the way of the Salafis. Regardless of what you hear about the Salafis, them Salafis, we don't call Muslims kuffar. Period. I saw many other things, inshallah ta'ala. Maybe we'll get the chance to talk about them. Let me finish by saying the door was open. We went, and we went through countries. We didn't hide our names. I didn't for myself. My name or my passport was with me. Didn't hide it. And I did what Allah allowed me. As a foot soldier, I was able to see more than what many of the leaders were seeing. And Sheikh Abdullah Azzam, rahimahullah, my experience with him is important. I should mention it. The fatwa I mentioned that he collected from the scholars, including Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, and Al-Albani, about the necessity of helping the Muslims in Afghanistan if you can. These are the major scholars of Islam during our time. Abdullah Azzam, they know him. Al-Albani was his teacher, and the other Ibn Baz and Uthaymeen, they knew Sheikh Abdullah Azzam personally, and yet they gave him the fatwa because the Muslims should unite when there is a favorable situation for the religion. I can explain that later, but this was a strict, simple, helping the Muslims fight the communists. And the scholars of Islam, Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, Al-Albani, they had a lot of knowledge about what's going on. They still gave the fatwa. The fatwa that became very popular among Muslims, actually, Sheikh Abdullah Azzam, rahimahullah, dictated it to me. I wrote it with my own hand so they can give it to the print shop. So that fatwa, this is something that I remember very clearly. Of course, we had differences with Sheikh Abdullah Azzam, and I remember that he respected us very much, being Salafi, in that we have a manhaj, we have aqidah, but we were there to help the Muslims. Just in case somebody says, you've been with those Afghani, well, wait for this criticism. When you meet Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, Al-Albani, the other side, you go after them and ask them. They knew about this, so don't act like some brothers, he went with those Afghani. Yeah, I did. It was a blessing. It was an honor. And I'm hoping that, inshallah, the Muslims will support the brothers and sisters all over the world who are needing of help. I compared the situation to Gaza. Gaza is different. As I told you, it's surrounded by countries that don't want to fight Israel, and therefore the best we can wish for them now is to really بإذن الله عز وجل make dua for them, and use Muslim government organizations to send them money. So many things I can talk about, but remember, I left America to join the Mujahideen in Afghanistan after Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, Al-Albani give the fatwa. They give the fatwa to Abdullah Azzam. Just in case somebody is waiting to criticize me for something, leave it here in your pocket and try to take it out sometime and see if it will help you go somewhere. This is when the Muslims come together. I also want to, I said I want to end, let me end with this. Sheikh Abdullah Azzam rahimahullah studied with the Salafis, with the Al-Albani. I remember a conference that they made, I was there. They made with the leaders and the minor leaders of different areas in Afghanistan. And Abdullah Azzam rahimahullah taught them Al-Aqidah Al-Tahawiyya. Do you understand what this means? Al-Aqidah Al-Tahawiyya, about which Imam Ibn Baz rahimahullah said that the people of Hadith and the four Madhahib agree that this is a blessed Aqidah, Ibn Baz. So he taught them Al-Aqidah Al-Tahawiyya. And I remember some of the Afghanis standing up and criticizing what they heard. Abdullah Azzam, he was a mujahid. He said to them, you know, what people do sometimes, it's the graves and other things and not praying, and you have to have the correct aqidah. So somebody was criticizing. So one of the leaders told him, shut up and sit down. And I was there. So Abdullah Azzam did a good effort in that regard, but we had differences, and inshallah later on we can talk about that. But don't expect that I'm going to be doing this a lot. Since Ramadan until today, I finished 7 new books. I'm working on 2 more. So inshallah ta'ala soon, the book that I am really interested in doing is the 3rd edition of the Jihad book. Holy Wars, Crusades, Jihad. I did this book after 9/11 here in America, published it here in America from 180 different resources. And I mentioned the war in Afghanistan, and this is 2001. Since then, so many things happened. So the 3rd edition will be, inshallah ta'ala, much more different. It's like a new book. I'm going to add what happened in Afghanistan, the American and Christian defeat in Afghanistan, how they left Iraq in the hands of the mullahs for free, furnished, and what happened in Syria. And of course, I'm going to mention what's happening in Palestine, Sudan, Libya, and Yemen. A good part of my book is again about the Khawarij, their ideas. So this is a topic I'm interested in talking about later on, inshallah. The Khawarij. I read about them in books. I saw them there. Wait for the next video about that. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us and give us knowledge in the religion, and to help our Muslim brothers and sisters all over the world, and to bring them back to the Quran and Sunnah and the way of As-Salaf As-Salih. That was a good jihad in the beginning. When it turned to Muslims fighting each other, I left. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.